The Lover's Pentacle, Chapter 7, The Empress. He picked up Darcy right on time, and she blushed when she saw Kain from up close. He was much taller in person. She had always seen him from far away whenever the youth allowed himself into Bruno's office. Darcy fancied that she wasn't much to look at. Her mother had forced her to go to the hair salon, and she had wasted $200 straightening her curly brown hair. She had a round face and suspecting black eyes. The petite maid spent the entire car ride ogling her date, and Kain's shirt clung to his skin, thus perfectly delineating his muscular shoulders and six-pack. Even if nothing came of it, Kain was the hottest guy that had ever taken her out of the house. When they got to the nightclub, she brought out her cell phone to snap a picture of Kain, and she added with a trembling voice, "I'm sorry, I should have asked for permission." We can take a photo together if you like," said Kain, opening the car door for Darcy. "Yes, that would definitely work better," said Darcy, standing beside Kain while holding up her cell phone. She placed her hand around Kain's waist before taking her photo, and she smiled quite happily before sending the photos to her mother. The pair entered the Blue Martini. A side of the club was open, and this gave a perfect view of the nearby lake. A cold wind swept through the Ruby Blue Martini, and Darcy shivered nervously inside her thin coat or jacket. She clung to Kain's arm for warmth. After a short line, they entered the club, and the pair drew plenty of curious glances, but nothing else. Darcy breathed a sigh of relief when nobody said anything about her dress or her weight. And this was her first time at a nightclub, so naturally she assumed that it was going to be awful like her high school prom. At least this time her date was the school jock. While Darcy was making up stories in her head, Kain was searching for Overton, and he flinched when he saw someone pinching his behind, and following his natural instinct he turned around to punch the person who had dared to disrespect him. He stopped when he noticed Overton had company. The person that had pinched him was actually Overton's date, an acquaintance with benefits. They're not even friends with benefits. They're acquaintances with benefits. Overton hadn't called that acquaintance in over a month, and he was starting to remember why he didn't hang out with him anymore. "This is," said Overton, pointing to the person whose name he had forgotten. In the cell phone, the number was listed as booty call 27, number 27. "Adrian," said the stranger, shaking hands with Kain. "Wait a minute," said Overton, finally remember the name. "And why are you giving Kain a fake name, Arden?" "Because we work together," said Kain, narrowing his eyes. He had seen through Arden's disguise. Arden was sporting a long-sleeved green dress that covered his Adam's apple, and the blonde wig and makeup were there to hide his identity. Arden wasn't into wearing dresses. The man hiding within the dress and wig was a beefy, raven-haired individual. His pitch-black monolith eyes were always looking about, worried about seeing someone that recognized him. Since he was a closet case, he always wore a disguise whenever he went out looking for a man that could satisfy him. He had met Overton while on the prowl 2 years ago, and they would go out whenever their schedules coincided. And despite all the times they had gone out together, Overton could barely remember Arden's name, while Arden was only familiar with Overton's favorite positions. "You took work together," said Overton, rubbing his chin. He was equally surprised and delighted. "Not until recently, mind you," said Arden in a high-pitched feminine voice. Kain laughed in spite of himself, and the fake voice that Arden was using reminded him of Tootsie. Overton too laughed. The fake voice sounded more ridiculous since the last time he had heard it. And Arden felt worse because even Darcy was laughing at him. "Can you please not tell anyone a word that you saw me looking like this?" said Arden, lowering his head. "Who would I tell? I don't know anyone," scoffed Kain. "I have only been working there for 1 day, and I only recognize you because you poked fun at me getting attacked by a vampire." "Hold on, you were attacked by a vampire?" asked Darcy, surprised. "He did say vampire, did he? I didn't just hear you speak crazy, did I?" "It wasn't a vampire per se, just somebody with a vampire fetish. He beat me while he struggled to get aroused," said Kain. "That's the second time you say that. You really should update your testimony," said Oberon, pouting. "And what difference would that make?" scoffed Kain. "If harassment is involved, it becomes aggravated kidnapping, so that would add a couple of more years to his sentence," said Arden. "And he did drug you, and you don't drug a person if all you're planning to do is take a bite out of them." "I take it you're an expert," said Kain, annoyed by the situation. "Well, I am a criminal investigator," said Arden, "and for all we know, the man that attacked you was a serial killer, and every little detail counts." Kain interrupted. "I am not in the mood to talk about him, and can we do literally anything else?" The night passed leisurely enough after this conversation, and Kain danced with his companion, and Darcy didn't know how to dance, so she would just do a clumsy mimicry of Kain's movements, and she was just happy to be doing something that her mother considered normal. And she also drank and took photos with Kain and Oberon. And while she opened her mouth to ask Kain to make love to her, but she changed her mind at the last minute. She didn't want to be laughed at, and her repressed desire made her cling feverishly to Kain, and while he struggled to dance with her, and he felt her arms wandering about, and this greatly irritated him. He sang with frustration, and here was another woman who just wanted to sleep with him. Darcy only ever opened her mouth to ask for a drink, a picture, or a dance. And Oberon, noticing that Kain was irritated, decided to cut the double date short, and he feigned tiredness before going to his car. Kain drove Darcy home, and waiting for her outside the house was her mother. It was 11, and this was the longest that Darcy had ever stayed out on a day. In every respect, she had succeeded her mother's expectation. Darcy thought that things had gone well. However, as soon as she got out of the car, Kain sped away, and he didn't even bother to leave her his phone number. Darcy sighed wearily, but she was used to being rejected because of her look. Little did she suspect that she had been rejected due to her lecherous fingers. Kain arrived at his home, and he fell face first on his pillow, and he left the bed to shower and to change into a clean set of pajamas, and he saw on the corner of his bed the cat plushie that Jeremy had made for him, and he picked it out to examine it closer. "I wish I had the real Tybalt," pouted Kain, hugging the cat close to his heart. He didn't fall asleep right away, and he spent a good portion of the night thinking about Oberon, and he liked spending every minute and every second with Oberon, and Oberon knew what to say to make him feel better about his miserable existence. And he was good at giving hugs, and he was fun. And when Oberon spent time with another man or woman, Kain would become sad, and he was jealous of Arden, and the more he thought about it, the more he fancied that he was in love. He began to weigh the pros and the cons of romantically pursuing Oberon. Then again, Kain was inexperienced on romance, and he was often the prey and not the hunter. And as far as he knew, Oberon had never been in a stable relationship, and Kain was afraid of destroying the beautiful friendship. "Grandpa, what should I do?" said Kain, bringing out the picture of his grandpa. "Stop being a sissy and just tell her how you feel," said Grandpa Raphael's picture. "I have feelings for a guy, Grandpa," said Kain. Ah! Alright. Bye-bye and God bless.